All right, good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. I'd like to welcome you to a special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County. You can see out the window that it is a beautiful day today in Manatee County, and we're going to start, as we always do, by honoring God and by honoring our great nation. Today, Pastor Jerry Jeter, maybe Derek's brother, will be giving the invocation, and he is of River Life Church of God. And after the invocation, Commissioner and Army veteran Reggie Bellamy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, if you're able, please stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Father, we thank you today for the opportunity to come before you, to serve you, to honor you. We recognize that we truly live in the most blessed nation and among the most blessed generation. So help us to steward these blessings well. Help us to use all that you've given us, the gifts, the talents, the blessings, and use them to honor you and to bless others. We pray that all the decisions that are made are marked by righteousness and justice and truth. We pray your continued blessings on our county. I pray for all of our commissioners, administrators, and all those who are serving the people of this community. May they be granted the strength and the grace they need to honor you and to bless others with all they do. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much for making the trip down here, and thank you, Commissioner. All right, Dr. Hopes, I'm going to turn it over to you to start the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. As you recall, we had an earlier meeting a little over a month ago where we presented some of the redesign work that had been done initially in development services, as you building and development services became development services, and neighborhood services became community services and community and veteran services. And we committed to have a follow-up meeting where you could get into a deeper dive of the good work that these two newest leaders of Manatee County government have been working on, and the accomplishments they've had in preparing their departments for the challenges ahead and the rapid growth of our community and our population. So first up, we have Courtney DePaul, and she will update you on development services, the new structure and programs that are now within that department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Hopes. This morning, we're going to start off by showing a hype video about development services to give you just a bird's eye view into what we do every day. So let me start that first.
Building with the community. It's not just an empty phrase or catchy tagline. These are the words Manatee County's Development Services Department lives by in one of the fastest growing, uniquely beautiful, and evolving counties in the country. Hundreds of times each day, Development Services works with you, the property owners and contractors, to strategically move your project and our county forward. From our planning division, where we conduct zoning and addressing, environmental reviewing and public hearings, to our building division, where ideas take shape. It's where Manatee County taxpayers realize they have someone they can depend on during the permitting and inspection process, floodplain management, and code enhancement. It's where managing the county's long-term land use vision meets neighborhood-level engagement. By creating more efficient processes through technological advances, we have our own vision too, to create a better experience and more responsive service for you. After all, as Manatee County continues to progress, so do we. Manatee County's Development Services Department, building with the community.
All right, so with that, I'm going to call up my team of managers in development services, and we're going to provide a brief. Open that.
I feel hyped after that.
All right, so obviously I'm Courtney DePaul, so I'm the Director of Development Services. Been on board now, today's actually my 4-month anniversary. And I'm here this morning with my team of division managers and then also my direct reports to share and introduce the new development services. We're going to talk about what we do, what we've accomplished over the last 4 months, and then what our goals are over the into the near future. So development services currently consists of 5 divisions. So we have building, which is led by Bill Palmer, our building official. We have comprehensive planning, which is led by Nicole Knapp, who recently joined our department in March from administration. She brings along impact fees. We have planning, which is led by Rob Wenzel. We have business services, which is part of administration, which includes also our HR liaison, our administrative assistant, Celeste. We've also got fiscal with Tammy Boggs. And then finally, we've got code enhancement, which was just started, which is led by Jeff Bowman. And we recently started that, as you know, just a couple months ago. So at the end of the brief, also, what I wanted to talk about is that one of our divisions, planning, is going to change a little bit. And so we'll have a motion at the end, which is going to talk about a little bit of the reorganization that we're proposing within that division. All right. In development services, we are committed to delivering superior customer service, handling development in unincorporated Manatee County from start to finish. This includes everything from the establishment of future land use categories and rezones through the permitting and issuance of final certificates of occupancy. When we rebranded, we wanted to reiterate our critical link to the community, and we're working to connect with the community through public outreach and education with an emphasis on engagement and participation at neighborhood and community meetings. Hence the tagline, building with the community. We've been partnering with various entities like developers, private providers, engineers, citizens to recommend and implement continuous process improvements. In addition, we've been looking into new technologies to improve our user interface and create efficiencies within the department. However, it's important to note that without people, none of this could be possible, and that's why I thought it was really important to bring our team today, and they'll be providing briefs on their individual slides. Recognizing that hiring is a manager's top priority when I first got here, I did want to share an exciting metric. In January, when I onboarded, we had 17 vacancies, which is about a 10% vacancy rate. As of April 12th, we were down to a 3% vacancy rate. This was done through predictive hiring. It was done through hiring temporary employees in areas where we know there was a higher attrition rate. And then it was also through leveraging a staffing agency to help with some of our harder to fill positions, such as planners. We've also realized the importance of employee retention through team building and career development. We had a very successful team building exercise last Thursday where we brought in Mr. Leonard Wood, who talked about change management, because as you know, there's a lot of change that's been happening over the last couple months, and there's more change that's going to be happening into the future. And so he helped to equip our staff with some really good lessons on how to manage change through the different various stages. The following day, he came and spoke to the supervisors and managers about the 4 anchors of success, which focused on the importance of leadership qualities such as vulnerability, motivation, change management, and emotional intelligence. Again, skills that supervisors and managers must have in order to make these changes successful throughout the organization. With regards to career development, we're encouraging the attainment of professional certifications and higher education, as well as interfacing with local and national professional organizations. Further, we're working to enhance the career ladders to more effectively promote growth of our employees from within. And so with that, I'm going to call Bill up here, our new building official who joined us just 2 weeks after I started in January, to talk about building division and, again, what he's accomplished in the last couple months and then what we plan to accomplish moving forward. Bill.
Thank you, Courtney. Good morning, Commissioners, Dr. Hope. I'll start with the staffing in the building department. In mid-January, we hired a new building official.
Speak into the microphone. Just get a little.
Oh, I'm sorry. In mid-January, we hired a new building official. That's myself. We also had 7 vacancies at the time that we currently filled all of them, and we just made an offer for the last one. So we're actually now we're fully staffed. However, most of our staff members are carrying heavy workloads still at this time with the amount of volume of work we're doing. The inspectors are doing 700 to 800 inspections a day, and we're routing probably about 150 plans to review each day. So it's quite a workload. And when we go to the metrics, you can see from 2020 to 2021, we went from about 3,600 permits to about 6,000 permits, which was an increase in 60%. So it's pretty high. Our inspections from 2020 to 2021 were up 35%, went from 227,000 inspections to 284,000. And we're projecting that that's going to increase, in the year to come, probably 6,200 more permits for 2022 and 330,000 inspections for 2022. So we're busy. As far as the zoning department goes, as part of the overall plan to reorganize the department to basically to streamline it, so we make it more efficient, and we're able to get permits out quicker and serve the community better. We've moved the zoning department under the building department, and what this does is it lets them work closely with our plans examiners, and we're able to turn around applications that don't require any final site plan review, just single-family homes, pools, and that, and we could turn them around quickly. And that's been working out really well. We really increased our turnaround time on that. In floodplain management, that's a really important department here in the building department. A longtime employee, Sandy Tudor, will be leaving us after, I think she's been here 25 years. And Sandy was the floodplain manager, and she's been with that department, I believe, the whole time she was here. She's has an excellent knowledge, and she'll be missed. Her work will be missed. So we're currently working on filling that department and the position, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. Get a qualified candidate. The good news is that we just had our 5-year community assistance visit from FEMA, and we retained our Class 5 CRS rating. So the citizens of Manatee County are all going to be able to enjoy a 25% deduction in their flood insurance. So that's really good news. And I have to say, I mean, the CRS group, the floodplain people, they really work hard. They work all year long, to manage, to coordinate, to document, all the CRS activities that we're doing. And we work in partnership with other departments. We work with Public Works, Stormwater Engineering, and Public Safety, and Emergency Management, and the activities that those folks do, give us the points needed to achieve that rating, and we couldn't do without them. So it's a closely knit group that works together. So each year, we need to recertify, and we need to send documentation to FEMA every year of what we're doing to recertify. And then every 5 years, they do a verification visit, which is kind of like a heavy-duty audit, and then that verifies the points, that they verify that we've been doing. And for a minimum rating for a Class 5, you need 2,500 points. We currently were verified at 2,517 points. So we're only 17 points above, so I'd like when we get another manager on board, to see if we can get more points, because, you want a little bit of a cushion there, because you never know when you're going to lose some points. So they're doing a great job in that department. Our next thing we've been doing is virtual and video inspections. This has been working out really well. We've been doing virtual inspections with roofs and virtual inspections with windows, and then we do video inspections with our AC changeouts. And this works out really well for everybody involved, because the inspectors can save on trips, and they can do a lot more inspections by looking at the video or doing them virtually. And the contractor, after he completes the work, he can just shoot the video, and then he's done with it. And also, it helps out the residents because they don't have to wait home for an inspector to come to do another inspection. So back in, I think it was in 2021, we issued approximately 8,600 AC change-out permits. And this is kind of interesting, so 6,000 of them were in-field inspections, and 2,500 of them were done by video. So the 6,000 that were done in field, they had a 26% failure rate, and the 2,500 that were done with the video had only a 16% failure rate. So we actually had a 10% less failure rate by doing with the video, which really is good news. And I think the reason for that is because when we give them the instructions on what they need to do to take the video, they have a list of what they need to take and what we're looking for. And then when they kind of shoot the picture, I guess, and don't see what it is that we're looking for, they can, fix it there on the spot. So with a 10% less failure rate, that's 10% less re-inspections that the inspectors have to do. So we're looking to really push on that. We're looking to get hopefully a good video inspection program that's will be a lot more easier for the contractors to use. And Lacey will be talking about that more later. So once we get that into place, we'll be, advertising this more that, to do the video inspections. The other thing we changed is we have a master plan application now. This will help developers with submitting plans. Before, what we would require, if you had 100 houses in a development, they would submit 100 plans, and each plan would have a permit, and we'd have to review each plan, and that takes a lot of time. So what we did was we have a master plan now, whereas if they're doing, particularly they're doing 4 different style houses in a development, they just need to submit 4 master plans for those houses, and then we assign them permit numbers, and it's a lot more easier to review and a lot more streamlined. So that's something that we'd like to see really used a lot more in the future. The next thing is the private provider pilot program. We try to work the best we can with our private providers because we can't do all the inspections, so we need them to do a lot of the inspections, and they do. We had a firm come to us and kind of voice concern that it was cumbersome for them to having to schedule an inspection on our Acela and then perform the inspection, then go back into Acela and enter the inspection. It just cost them a lot of man hours. So we came up with this idea. We said, well, look, we really don't need to know if you're going to be doing a plumbing rough-in inspection on Thursday. So what we had offered them to do, and we're trying, is that they do all the inspections and do what they need to do, and then when it comes close to finishing the project, when they completed the house, they just submit the packet of all the inspections, and we upload them into Acela. So this way we have it, documentation of all the inspections that were made. They're just not individually listed. So we're hoping that that'll work out good, and it'll be helpful for the private providers. Next year, we're looking to implement some quality control implementation. We do a lot of volume of work, and everybody's really self-conscious and does the best they can, but mistakes do happen. So I'm not going to say they don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 positions, 1 more inspector position, a plans examiner position, and a zoning position. And what we'll do, and we haven't really came up with a policy yet, but we'll use these people to rotate them to staff members, and we'll go back and we'll review projects that were, reviewed by zoning, reviewed by, the plans examiner, and see if any errors were made, if anything was missed, and then we, can talk about it and, to make it better, in the long run. That's what we're looking to do. So that's something we're looking for in 2023. Then on the next slide, we have the residential building permits. And as you can see, they've really gone up. If you look at February of 2021 through 2022, we went from 333 permits to 710 permits. That was an increase of 113% in just that 1 month. And then in March, we went in 2020 to 2021, we went from 411 to 555. That was a 35% increase. And then, in this coming year, we're up to 718 permits, 555 permits to 718 permits. And that, I believe, is about 30%. So it doesn't seem like anything's slowing down. We're getting a lot busier. And we're just, keep at it and try to be more efficient at what we do and do a good job. Thank you.
So with that, I'm going to bring up Rob Wenzel to talk about the planning division. And then he's going to be joined by Marie Wahid and Denise Greer. As you may know, they are at Public Works currently, but we'll be proposing to reorg a little bit of our development review team, which will incorporate them and some of their staff members. So, Rob?
Thank you, Courtney. Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Hopes. I'm Rob Wenzel, Division Manager with Development Services, and like Courtney said, with me is Marie Wahid and Denise Greer. We have big changes planned, and it's going to be great. Looking forward to it. I'll start this slide off by letting you know, Planning Division, what we do in planning, we facilitate plan review for all development applications in the county, which you all know. That includes our reviewer on call addressing administrative and environmental review, and our public hearing sections. I can't tell you what a great job our folks do. We have amazing staff. We process so many applications, and everybody's wonderful and great people to work with. Our front line is our front counter staff. They are amazing people. I just wanted to give you a couple of, it's not on the slide, but I wanted to let you know some numbers that we do at our front counter. We take approximately 220 calls per week. And with those calls, it's not just like a simple answer. A lot of times you have to go in depth, you have to look, you have to do a lot of research for folks. We do about 130 emails a week that we have to answer for folks that call, and we have about 54 walk-ins. Those are our average weekly totals. So they're amazing. I can't say enough about them, and just thankful to be a part of this team. So the reviewer on call is first responders for planning and zoning inquiries, site plan extensions, and zoning review for planning applications. Just to let you know, we're on track with what we did last year as far as projects. It's running about even for this year and last year. Last year we did 215 public hearing projects, and we did 839 administrative review cases. And like Courtney said, we were short-staffed. We haven't had the staff that we needed, but we're one position away from being fully staffed, which is amazing. And the help that we've gotten from people helping us find people has been amazing. It's been a great help. Next slide. Staffing. We had 6 planner vacancies as of January, and we're down to 1 as of April. So we've been hiring a lot of folks, and it takes a little bit of time to train, but we're getting there. I think our product is really good, and we're hitting our deadlines and our marks. Process improvements. This is what Courtney touched on, and this is why Denise and Marie are here. We're hoping to centralize development services and bring over the key individuals, the key players from Public Works that touch our projects, that come before you and our administrative reviews. And it's really going to work well. We're really hopeful that this is going to work out great. Another change we made is our final plat process. We weren't getting our plats done as fast as we wanted to, and that's why we asked you if we could bring the final plats to legislative and quasi-judicial meetings, because before it was just legislative, and when we added the quasi-judicial meetings, it really sped it up, and we figured by about 2 weeks. Another change that we've made recently is we do a sit-down completeness after the first round of comments. So when a project is submitted to us, we have 21 days to review it. The applicant gets their comments, and immediately we schedule a meeting with them to go over the comments, and that's a WebEx meeting. And so it's an optional meeting. It's not something they have to do, but it's something we want to offer our customers to help them through the process, because a lot of times it could be confusing. So that's been working out really well, and we're going to keep that going. Digital plan room, I can't say enough about Acela. Acela's been great. It was a little tough in the beginning to learn it, but now that everybody knows it, it's a really good program, and I think even our neighboring counties have started using it because it's that good. Community engagement. You saw the public hearing signs. That's a change that we made recently, and they're working out really well. Everybody's happy with those. Can't say enough about the group that put that together. It's really good. We're encouraging neighborhood workshops and town halls for your public hearing meetings. Actually, we're requiring them. We're requiring the applicants on the majority of them to do a neighborhood workshop because we want the neighbors, surrounding property owners to know what's coming forward, what's moving next to them. So that is working out really well, and we're going to keep that going. Coming soon. So our development applications and checklists We've looked at this before, and we're looking at it again. We're trying to make it more user-friendly, only include in there what we really need in an application, not just stuff that is already on GIS. A lot of the information that we ask people for is already stuff that we have at our fingertips, and we really don't need all of that included in our applications. We're trying to make it more user-friendly, so we've got our consultants working on that, as well as our staff reports. The staff reports are, it seems some of the language in there is repetitive. We're trying to make the staff report, a little bit shorter and a little bit, better product. Next slide. This is where we come into our re-centralization concept, and I don't know if Courtney wants to come up and talk more about it, but it was like this. I started here in 1998, and this is kind of the way that it was, although I think we've done a better job with today's concept than we had before. But what we're doing is we're adding the key players for development services to improve our customer service. So we've got my division, which is administrative and public hearing review, and the reviewer on call that I spoke about. We've got the Public Works Standards Review section, and that's Denise's group, which is going to include the stormwater, Public Works Development Review, and utilities. We've also got Marie's group, which is transportation planning, traffic engineering, and concurrency. And with our new deputy director that we're hoping to bring on, we'll have the bonds under that deputy director too. Bonds a lot of times are, it's like a last minute thing before the final plat can move forward, the bonds have to be taken care of, and we're gonna improve that efficiency with this coming over. Next, we have environmental, Gary Race. He's going to be another division because environmental is a little bit different than what we do. It's kind of their own, they have their own niche. So we want to separate that and make them their own group. Also, we have Nicole, like Courtney said, is our comprehensive planning and impact fee manager. So she'll do the impact fees and the comp plan and LDC reviews, rewrites, whatever we need.
And so thanks, Rob. And at the end of this, we'll go over what the org chart currently looks like and then what we're proposing to change it to. But the main point was, I think even before I got here, Charlie and I believe Bob and Jan had all looked at re-centralizing the development review process because there was definitely some bottlenecks with the final plat process. And that specifically was what they started to look at. When we started to look at the final plat process, we realized that really it's all development plan review in general. There are a lot of people that touch it. And so I want to be clear also that these areas moving, this is not all of utilities. It's not all of traffic engineering. There's specific people that handle the plan review. So there's certain people that we've identified. And overall, I think it's 22 to 23 employees. So not entire divisions per se, but we'll be bringing on very specific people that do that now. And so with that, we will transition now. And one more thing that I wanted to add actually quickly, Gary currently in environmental works under Rob. I wanted to again highlight the importance of moving it out. And I believe that it helps because environmental should never feel as though they have to approve a plan in a certain manner. And so I wanted to make sure that I removed that perceived conflict of interest. I don't think it's a conflict of interest. Gary is phenomenal at what he does and as is his team. But I think it's always good to separate those powers. So that was why I proposed that shift. So with
Okay.
that, did you,
Yeah,
yes?
before we transition to the next thing, Commissioner Whitmore is on the board.
First of all, I just want everybody, if people are watching, going, look at all this money we're spending, we're adding 3 more people. This department acts like an enterprise fund, and they pay for themselves with fees generated. And also, there's a reserve that we have to keep a certain amount. So when development slows down, then we have to reevaluate. But this is totally, am I correct? Totally paid for by the users, kind of like the port. I'd like to ask Scott that, just to verify for the public.
The building department is completely funded by building.
Right.
So by permits and inspections and the fees that they have. Planning is subsidized, is not just paid
Okay.
for out of the planning fees. And I'm looking at Tammy if she wants to add anything.
Do you
I
know
think
what
that's-
percent subsidized by,
Do we know the percent, Tammy?
just a guesstimate?
Oh, you need to step up to the microphone, first and last name for the record if you're going to comment, Ms. Boggs.
I can get that. I can get that and send it.
It's okay, I just want the public to know that we're not just
We are having, and
throwing at government, and then unfortunately, when it does slow down, which it will, then we have to reevaluate everything.
And there's another point too, is that none of these moves, as it stands now, are adding positions yet. So even the deputy director that I'm proposing would be actually reclassing a current vacancy that we have, which was our old comprehensive planning manager. Because when we moved Nicole over, she actually brought with her position. So that was very convenient.
Yeah, and actually, when I first started, it was separated. I mean, this has gone back and forth a couple times, and I know the previous administrator was actually looking at separating out planning again. So, I mean, this has been discussed. We just, when everything had went down, we had to consolidate planning projects. If you can help us understand, if we get concerns from residents, which we all do, they're in the middle of building something, it isn't completed, there's permits still got to be approved, inspections and all that. If I get a concern, I've been sending it to you, Rob, and Jeff, because he's kind of the enforcement, and of course the deputies. But is that the right process that we still do?
So we're actually talking, we have these process improvement meetings on a monthly basis. We just so happened to have one yesterday. And we talked about reviewer on call being more of the first line of defense, but everyone can always contact 311, and that gets routed through our people, and they have a certain time that they need to respond. I think it's 10 days.
Yeah,
So
but-
if it's an emergency that you need an answer, then just contact me. But overall, we always defer to 311 or reviewer on call, which reviewer on call is an open mailbox,
Okay.
and there's always someone that's working through that mailbox that's assigned to that.
In all due respect, 311 doesn't always get back, so we've tried so many different scenarios through the years, but if they would, that's why I go right to the horse's mouth, but I do copy 311. but
Absolutely,
It would be
for-
nice.
for emergencies and
Stormwater,
for
I
emergencies.
noticed you're going to put that in, so does that mean Tom?
No, it does
Gerstenberger?
not. So
Okay.
originally, I would be remiss if I didn't say I wanted Tom to come over here. Everyone wants
everybody
Tom.
does.
I said, I just actually was in training yesterday afternoon for emergency, for hurricane awareness, and he was sitting across from me, and I'm like, gosh, you're a hot commodity. No, but it is not Tom. And so Tom actually, his focus, and I'm going to look to Denise too, because she knows a little bit about this too, but Tom's focus wants to be on stormwater master planning in the county. And so having the development review staff under development is going to actually free up his time a little bit more so he can focus on that. And I think that's really important to him, and it's a huge benefit to the county. So we would actually be looking to where we would take a vacancy from Public Works right now. They currently have a vacancy, and then fill that with someone that's specialized in stormwater.
And thank you for moving environmental review out, because it had been separate, and they seemed to be a little more autonomous in the past than they are now. So I think that's how it will remain, right? Okay.
And I honestly, I toyed with the idea of even having environment review directly under me. But I don't want to ever hold back progress where someone's waiting for me to make a decision.
Right.
And so I thought it would be better to have them directly under the deputy. And I say the same thing about comprehensive planning. We actually made that decision 2 days ago, was to try to maybe just put that under the deputy. Because again, I don't want to delay progress. And it's really important that we have these LDC and comp plan amendments go through as quickly as possible.
Thank
So I don't
you.
want to be another bump in the road.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitmore. I would just throw in there 54 walk-ins a week, Rob pointed out. Should we do something, coordinate with IT? That's better than 1 an hour. I mean, I'm sure you would like to lower that number. It seems pretty high to me. Should we coordinate with IT to, put something on the website that's a little more eye-catching and makes it, directs people, steers them in the right direction?
So we've got really exciting news. We haven't determined, well, I think we know the the avenue that we're going to take with the program that we're going to use. But there are a couple programs on the market currently, and Lacey's going to speak to this, that helps. They have permit builders, so to speak, and plan application builders, where you go through and it prompts you, what are you building? Drop down a shed. Okay, what is your, is it going to be this, this, this? You don't need a permit. You need a permit. And then it also populates your permit for you. And so we're looking at those right now. Our plan is to acquire this software before the end of the fiscal year. That's the marching orders that I've given Lacey. And so the people that we're talking to says that it could take 3 to 4 months to implement. So, this is going to make a huge impact to the calls that we get and the walk-ins, because we'll be able to direct them to these permit builders online, and they're going to use the LDC to create that.
You're a step ahead of me. I love it.
So there's
Commissioner Servia.
smarter people out there than me, but
Are you guys finished with your presentation? If not,
No.
okay, I'm going to hold my questions till the end then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much. Did you want to add something,
I
Rob?
did. I'm sorry, I have to give a plug to Bobby and our agenda group. I did not mention them, but without them, we would be lost. We wouldn't be able to bring you projects. So I want to thank Bobby, Sasheen, and Natalie for everything they do. But they're integral in our success. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, and so with that, I'm going to bring in Nicole Knapp, part of our comp planning. We're excited to have her on board. And then, again, she's her own division right now, but I'm proposing to put it under the planning subhead, so.
Good morning, Commissioners, Dr. Hopes. So, as you're all aware, comprehensive planning, we're primarily relied upon to ensure that the comprehensive plan and the land development code are updated regularly. Primarily for consistency with the Florida statute, but also with your board policies. So, and then, as you're also aware, we shared with you back in mid-March that the impact fee division has, like Courtney said, it moved in with comprehensive planning, and so that's under me as well. Comprehensive planning is made up of 3 planner positions, so Bill Clegg and Charlie Andrews, and then we had a vacancy, and everybody's talked about all the vacancies today. When the slide was prepared, it actually says we have a planner vacancy, and as of yesterday, we will not. I extended an offer to a young gal who has a master's in urban planning from UCF, and she accepted the position, so a couple weeks we'll be fully staffed in comprehensive planning. And then the other part that makes up the impact fees, we have Elaine Barker, who's a longtime employee with the county, but been with impact fees for about 7 years. She's our coordinator. And Gavin Campbell joined us from Stormwater Management. He's been with the county for 6 years, but he's now been with impact fees for over a year. They're a rock star team. They have accepted this change with open arms, and the 4 of them that currently are under me are, working well together, and it's been really a blessing to move over. I'm very happy with the move. So, in the interim, we also brought back Kathleen Campbell as a temp employee. Most of you know Kathleen. She was with us for, I think, 30 years, and she's an AICP certified planner. And so she's going to help us do a little bit of this catch-up, give us an opportunity to train the new planner, and so she's been another blessing to the team. When I joined comprehensive planning last month, I had the planners and I sat down and we looked at all the pending amendments. And it appears like there's a lot. There's a lot of overlaps in different elements, things that repeat themselves in different parts of the code. And part of why they weren't really keeping up is, and you've heard them talk about all the vacancies, and this isn't a knock, but when you have all these vacancies, they were lending out Bill and Charlie to help keep up with the plan reviews. And so the comprehensive plan and LDC task kind of, slowed down a little bit. Well, now they're 100% working on comp plan amendments and LDC amendments proactively and coming forth every day with something that they want to add to this list. So what we tried to do is we created tiers, kind of created the top priorities and also that low-hanging fruit, which ones can we get quickly. And so you'll start to see right after your break, we're coming back to you with the ones that we've distinguished should be a first-tier priority, so they'll get through the adoption process by, maybe October if we bring them to you in August, September. Okay, so the next thing is that we partner with other departments. that's another aspect of comp planning. And working with the different departments on their respective elements and their areas of expertise in the land development code. And so examples of that, we'll continue to that. We'll try to increase those partnerships. And examples of that is the utilities master plan is due for an update. That's a comp plan amendment. And recently we helped transportation with their transportation element update. And so we'll continue to grow those partnerships and be more proactive to work with the departments. Lastly, as it relates to amendments, I didn't realize where Bill was going to go with the CRS points, but we are very close to being at a 4, or potentially being at a 4, which increases our rating. And about a week and a half ago, Charlie, one of our planners, came to me and said, I've got an idea to increase our CRS points. And I don't know that Bill's even aware of this because we've been working with the other departments and their representatives. We have some properties out there that have a future land use that is residential. And they're in the 100-year floodplain. If we can change some of those properties to open space or conservation, we can increase our CRS points. So we've coordinating a steering committee, if you will, or a work group, and someone from every department who can liaison back to the directors or the deputy directors and get that baby rolling, because that's some exciting news if we can lower to a 4. So that's just some exciting news that the planners, when they're allowed to focus, the opportunities that they can bring forward, that they're just constantly thinking down there. So exciting about that. And then I want to wrap up with stating the comp planning section is a really good partnership for impact fees. Since they both address long-range planning and significant coordination with other departments, this is a really good fit. Impact fees are based off population, level of service, and other land use regulations for consistency with the comp plan. And they influence patterns and growth and predict new infrastructure. So I think I'm excited about impact fees not really being on their own anymore and being part of the comprehensive planning division. I think it'll be more efficiency with predicting where and when we need new infrastructure needs. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Nicole. And so now I'm going to call up Jeff Bowman. So Jeff joined us. We started code enhancement in February. And so we're recently in phase 2 of the transition from some of the things that we inherited from code enforcement that have to do with land development code. And so they're slowly moving those things over. And I'm going to let Jeff take over. So.
Okay, thank you. If you're wondering who that is in the picture, that's the back of Bill's head. And I'm standing next to him and got cut out.
I had to cut him out.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
I'm
that
sorry.
happened.
It automatically did that.
So, Chair, Commissioners, Dr. Hopes, thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing the Code Enhancement Division. So I want to preface by saying you have 2 books. You've got that thick Code of Ordinance book and you've got that thick Land Development Code book, which I preface a lot. And it's well known that land use and land development regulations can be challenging and at times confusing for enforcement personnel. The goal of the new division is to improve on how we do business and how we provide service to citizens in a more expeditious manner, just providing a better service. The new division will ensure compliance with the land development codes. Each inspector will receive specialized training. This is vital to the public's health, safety, welfare, and as well our environmentally sensitive lands and resources. They'll provide public education. You wanted me to get off the script. So they'll provide public education. We do that through community neighborhood organization, civic neighborhood meetings and things like that regarding land development regulations, because we think that education is very important and to build those bridges in the community. So the new division will allow the planning and building divisions to focus more on development applications, permitting, and their application process and not be bothered with the complaints that come in. We'll handle those. So, okay. To better serve the community, code enforcement moved to public safety and will focus their attention on enforcement of the county code of ordinances with an emphasis on property maintenance standards and blight. while the new Code Enhancement Division will focus their attention on enforcing violations of land development codes, our land use and land development codes, building codes, unsafe structures, and unlicensed contractors. The inspectors will be trained on all aspects of the land development code. Those areas include, but are not limited to, land development and land use approval processes, zoning standards, use of land and structures, accessory structures and uses, temporary uses, signs, environmental issues like conservation easements and wetlands, drainage, outdoor lighting, parking standards, etc. So the code enhancement team will also be identifying areas in the land development code that are ambiguous or conflicting. And we've been working with Nicole's group already on several of those changes to make clarification in the code to make it not so confusing for the public as well as the people enforcing it. So the division will manage and be the lead for the damage assessment program. Crisis Track is the program that the county will be using for reporting damage to the state through the EOC after an event, which we've been doing for many years now. So the new division will fundamentally and without doubt produce positive results for our citizens, and we're excited about that. So I'll conclude with, we do have a couple of open positions as well, which should be posted in the next couple of days. So if anybody has land development code experience or enforcement experience, please apply.
I think we have 3 vacancies, correct?
Correct.
So just to clarify this point as well, we did not add any new positions for the development of this division. So we used our former code compliance employees that worked in building, that were doing some driveway inspections, and those duties were returned to Public Works because we believed that was going to help centralization of those functions over at Public Works.
Okay, so before Mr. Bowman goes too far, Commissioner Bellamy is on the board.
My man. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
all I wanted. That's really all I wanted. It seemed like you were a little bit nervous. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, I appreciate
That's just
that.
the bottom line. And it's a lot can be said. And all due honestly, from this board to you, a lot should be said. Yeah, but I'll say that I truly appreciate you. I can't speak for everybody else. And thank you for your professionalism and your passion, but more than anything, the ability to keep being who you are. And not letting anyone change you. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we
Welcome back, my man. Welcome back.
we appreciate you hanging in there until the truth came out. So, yeah. Courtney?
We're really fortunate to have Jeff on our team. I definitely mimic that, and he's truly been the driving force to making code enhancement successful. So I don't think we could have done it without him. So and his great team that supports him. So with that, I wanted to
Fortitude is the word I was looking for. Fortitude.
Fortitude.
Thank you for your fortitude. Stick with it, miss.
So with that, we're going to have Lacey Pritchard, who leads our business services section, to come up and talk a little bit about administration. And I apologize earlier. I think I was off to a nervous start for some reason because usually I have the gift of gab. But earlier, so we obviously have Celeste, who joined us from administration, and she's our administrative assistant. And then we've got Vanessa, who just joined our team as our HR liaison, which we're really excited about. She started last Monday. And then we also, of course, have Tammy Boggs, who leads up our fiscal area. But Lacey's got some exciting technology that we're going to be integrating into our department, so I thought it would be great to have her present the slides.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Hopes. Administration serves as the central hub for support to the department through administrative, fiscal, human resources, and business services. Our fiscal section manages the department's annual budget, procures services, along with balancing all fees collected from permits, development applications, impact fees, and they also support the fees for our interlocal agreements with our fire departments and school districts. Our administrative and HR support is vital to the department's staffing. They work closely with the management team when a vacancy occurs, and they get the job posted and the vacancy filled in a timely manner. Business services leverages technology to enhance the customer experience through online services, the digital plan review, and virtual inspections, and of course more. We are excited to announce that we have completed the procurement of a new virtual inspection software called ViewSpec. We actually just procured it last week, so we will be scheduling kickoff. ViewSpec will allow us, the building department, to expand their virtual inspection services. So we won't be just doing roofs, AC changeouts. We're going to take this show on the road and give more. And it also will interface with our Acela operating system so that it's live results. We have also taken our show on the road, offering virtual and off-site trainings to bridge the gap between process and technology. For internal customers, these are our reviewers that are across the county, and also our external customers. When they're having an issue, we even do virtual screen shares just to kind of figure out what's going on. But we're not stopping there. Development Services will continue to build on the foundation of customer service and technology and bring a new website discovery portal that will answer pre-application questions for development applications and permits. They will streamline staff processes for increased transparency and consistency and reduce calls and walk-ins. We've actually are narrowing down the service that we wish to use. So I will be doing the SOWQ by the end of this week. And we are definitely excited about this. Polk County, a lot of our neighboring counties have implemented, or they're in the process of implementing, but it will take our GIS information, and if a customer is just, we're not talking just customers, we're talking future business owners that want to do business here in Manatee County. They can go onto a map, they can pull up a parcel, they're going to know what it's currently zoned, future land use, what they can build in that area. Also, if they can have chickens on their property, all these different things. It's going to be interactive. And because we did take into the consideration our walk-ins, our customers that walk in daily to our planning department and our zoning counter and our permitting counter. We also monitor the calls that 311 takes on our behalf. We are looking to see the significant reduction in these calls and walk-ins because we all know our future, our current and our future want technology at their fingertips. And just as Jeff mentioned on Crisis Track, we've always leveraged technology for our damage assessment, which has been successful, but we took it a step further and we've now procured Crisis Track. We're actually going to be doing our training for that. And with this is an enterprise that we're going to be able to offer to our surrounding neighboring municipalities here in Manatee County to have actually assist them in their damage assessment, so that when that number is tallied after an unfortunate disaster, we are consistent and staff time is also going to be reduced in filling out those nice FEMA applications. And we will be working with our department website to provide valuable information, some training how-to videos, and with improving accessibility and navigation to our citizens. Thank you.
So obviously, none of this would be possible without obviously help from HR, from FMD, from the supporting functions that we're relying heavily upon. And so there's a lot more in the background that has to happen for these moves to be successful and for them to occur without any speed bumps along the way. And so, but to just get us started, we're looking for a motion to authorize the county administrator to proceed with the reorganization and incorporation of the public works staff into development services, this planning division specifically, to increase efficiencies and re-centralize the development review functions.
So moved.
Second.
I had it on and I turned it off. We have a motion by Commissioner Servia and a second by Commissioner Baugh. Any discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Whitmore.
On this motion, we have a Deputy Director of Development vacant. And it's only because we're going to reorganize. So, and that's why it's pertaining to this motion. Do any of these people that are top tier able to apply?
So I think I've spoken to staff. I've spoken to staff already. So I've asked Denise Greer to be the interim. The deputy, once the position is approved. So there's stuff in the background that needs to happen with HR and fiscal and FMD to make sure that that position is approved. But I think that that position will require, I've already made the determination, a PE or an AICP requirement and an education requirement with a bachelor's. Denise has those things, and she's got a really good idea of the development review process, as she's worked in the private industry as well. And so I think she'd be great in the interim while we solicit. We're going to have to advertise the position, though, naturally.
And she has public-private experience, respect in the community as well as the business community. So that great.
And a lot
Thank
of
you.
respect from me. So and the staff. So we wanted to share these ideas with all of the development services staff, and so we did that last Thursday. I've spoken to the managers about interim as Denise, and everyone across the board is thrilled. I mean, I think we all have a phenomenal team. We work really well together. We all respect each other. And, I think that would just enrich it even more. And obviously, it has to definitely be advertised, but I think she'd do an incredible job in the interim.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Servia.
Yeah, I am so excited about these changes. Thank you. That's the A team right there. When I look at all of you, you guys are the top of the top. This is going to be a really good shift. Nicole, welcome back to where you belong in planning. Great. And Jeff Bowman, fantastic. Rob and Denise Greer. Denise and I worked in the private sector together for almost 13 years, and now she's over here. You could not have a better engineer working at Manatee County. So I love working with all of you. Thank you very much for this shift. So happy to see us shift also to planning, because in the fastest growing coastal community in Florida, you have to drive what your community is going to look like by planning for it, not responding to crisis permit applications. We've got to make the decisions on what we want so that then we can accomplish it. I love that we're going to require neighborhood workshops. Thank you, because the more that we can engage with the public and the neighborhoods, the easier everything is and the better product we get. So thank you for that change. The video, wow, Casey, the video is so good. Building with the community, because that's what we are doing with the community. This department has, at least the planning side, has been previously understaffed for many, many years. So for anyone who thinks that we're adding staff, really what we're doing is filling positions that have been vacant for far too long. Really, really happy about that. Love the planning, permitting, and zoning portal. So many people just have a simple question. And if we can keep them off our roads and not waste their time driving down here and not even make them wait on the call, a telephone call for a return call, just go to a portal. That's how technology improves our service to the community. So I have a couple of questions. Pre-apps. Are we going to have pre-apps continue just one day a week, or are you planning to offer more pre-apps?
So part of our process improvement meeting that we had yesterday, we talked about pre-apps in great depth. So I'll let Rob share a little teaser in what we're working on right now.
Thanks, Courtney. So we're behind in pre-apps, and we know that. And Denise and I and Jim Rigo, we get requests every day for pre-app waivers. So we have to require a pre-app based on our code and our process. So what we're looking to do is change that and only require pre-apps for public hearing cases, not for administrative cases. Not saying the administrative folks can't request a pre-app and have a pre-app. We would encourage that. But if you don't feel you need a pre-app and you're doing an administrative project, we're not going to require a pre-app anymore. So that should free up a lot of staff time. And it'll save the applicants a lot of trouble too, trying to schedule those with their busy schedules. So, and while I have the floor, I do need to thank the management team that I have, starting with Rosina Leiter, who is amazing. And I don't give her enough credit. She's absolutely amazing. I asked her to come up here, and she's sitting in the back, and Jim Rigo, and Gary, and Tracy. Everybody's amazing. I just wanted to thank those folks.
Yeah, we've got a lot of powerful people in the back of the room as well. The other thing that I wanted to add is, so I think in the interim, we're going to be doing just a blanket waiver for administrative applications, and then we're going to have to change the actual code. Yeah, so the code requires it now, so we'd have to change that, but it allows you to have a waiver, so I will sign a blanket waiver for them in the interim. But I have to talk to the county attorney in the back of the room still, so we'll talk about that. The only other thing that I would add is, just to give you an idea of the volume, so we're backed up in pre-apps 4 to 5 weeks right now. So if you heard Rob earlier, I think last year the metrics were 850 administrative approvals and like 250 public hearings. So you can see that we're going to be cutting down significantly the amount of pre-applications that we have. So we project that we're going to be back to every week. You know, we're not going to be backed up past a week. So that's going to make a big difference for the people, the applicants, that they're not having to wait 5 weeks just to kick off their project.
And are the pre-apps done, or do you offer a Zoom pre-app?
We do all of them via Zoom.
All of them Zoom, okay.
And it's every Friday, but we have a lot of staff, and you can only fit 7 in a day because they're an hour long. So we are bound by that, and that's how we got 4 to 5 weeks delayed.
Right, I understand that. What about people who want to build affordable housing in Manatee County? So are we going to have someone who is a representative on the land use restriction agreement side that is part of this, first team?
So I'm going to let Lee talk about that. Lee's my affordable housing guru, and we've got some exciting stuff in the works, but we both recognize that we have to work together in order to make a difference in Manatee County. So he's taking the lead on that, and then I'm following and giving him whatever support he needs from our staff.
Okay, fair enough. And the process. So as someone who's been working in this process for over 30 years, we always hear from customers and the public that it's taking too long, that the process takes too long. And there's many, many reasons for that, and sometimes it really isn't too long, it's just perception, and sometimes it is too long, and there's a variety of reasons for it. So I think as we move forward with this phase of building with the community, it's important also to show the responsibilities of our team at the county side and how we're moving through the process, and because sometimes applications get stuck on the other side, on the applicant side, for a variety of reasons. So, it's not always the county that's creating the obstacle, but we are, I think, the people who are always trying to remove the obstacles. So thanks for focusing on that. And Courtney, the leadership approach that you have brought since you got here, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the speaker that you brought in. I think that continuing education on team building and leadership is so vital to a successful organization. So I'm really proud to have all of you working for Manatee County. Rob Wenzel, you are a rock star, just killing it. All of you and your staff. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ball.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say it's like a breath of fresh air, seeing all of you guys together and coming up with the plans and the changes you want to make. For my 10 years here on this board, it seemed like it was constant, and some of you know what I'm talking about and getting ready to say. I mean, we had so many vacancies, and we were told, we would discuss it on several occasions, and, I can't find, we can't find anyone that's qualified. We can't afford them. We, blah, 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 blah. And here in a short amount of time, wow, whoa, what a difference. What a difference. So I guess my comment here is I love the town halls and the workshops that y'all are talking about with residents. I think that's real important. And just the changes to streamline the process to make it easier and more forthright and moving forward. And, it's the fresh blood and you all working as a real team. I don't want to leave y'all out. I know y'all are kind of like over here to my side. But it's a group effort, that's obvious. And, fresh blood, and it's awesome. So congratulations on the steps moving forward. It's a great process. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ball. Commissioner Whitmore.
I just want to rest the public's assurance that when we were talking about getting these approvals quicker, when we're doing the virtual inspections, nothing is being shaved off. They're still complying with our ordinance. If you can just verify that the 800 and something applications worth is 250, and we're saying we're going to make this faster. Can you just assure the public, because we hear this all the time, that everybody's for all the developers and they don't care about the people, and that's not true. We comply with our laws. But can you assure the public that no corners are being cut, except we're making it, I think, more efficient? If you could address that.
So two separate questions there. There's one related to building with regards to virtual inspections. And so what I'll say there is we believe that it really has helped private providers and contractors who are using the virtual inspection software to have a list of exactly what we're requiring. The key there is transparency and consistency. So finally, instead of having one inspector that goes out and says, oh, I concentrate on this usually because this is just what I know and it's my experience, even though maybe you should look at everything and everyone's human, now you've got a software that you've got your checklist of things that you need to hit on, and our reviewers of those inspections also have that checklist that they're reviewing. So in my mind, we're actually going above and beyond, and again, it goes back to the consistency. I would say the same thing on the planning side when we talk about the metrics that I gave about public hearing, the 250 and the 850 administrative approvals. Administrative approvals, you can only approve something administratively under very certain circumstances. So to have a pre-app, I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but it's an added step in a process that's already very low risk. And our staff is already looking at everything after that. They still have to submit the same application process. It gets the same review. They just don't have to go through another step of meeting with our staff for an hour for our staff to answer additional questions that they have. Because quite frankly, we've seen there aren't that many questions that they have. With public hearings, they're far more complex. They're not black and white necessarily, and we're working through Nicole's group to do text amendments to help any inconsistencies that we have there. But again, it's not as black and white. And so we feel as though the pre-app is still a very important meeting to have with those applicants to let them know where we stand on certain issues and if we can guide them through and recommend certain avenues to take. I hope I answered everything. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Final thought from Dr. Hopes, and then we'll open
I'm
this to
hoping to
public
close
comment.
this. What I wanted to say is that as we go through this momentum of changing Manatee County government and services to keep up with all this growth, what's important here is these folks have done an outstanding job. This started with Charlie Bishop and Bob Reinshuttle stepping in when we had the issues. I think Charlie went out to fix a Zoom issue. And they learned a lot in that experience about kind of what we needed. But the key here is, what I often sort of teach is the 3 R's: the right leadership, the right approach, and the right timing when you're dealing with change. And challenged all the directors, find positions where our existing talent can succeed. And you see that, and you see the enthusiasm that this new leadership team has in moving forward. And I just can't commend them enough. And the appreciation of the board and our approach to keeping you engaged as we move through this together, and to keep the public informed through this transparency. So I just want to just really congratulate Courtney and her staff. She has done a tremendous amount, and her department has. If you think of where we were 6 months ago, in the Building and Development Department, and where we are today, and this enthusiasm and excitement of moving Manatee County forward in just an exceptional manner. And I think it's a great example, and then Lee will follow. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank all of you.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Dr. Hopes. No other commissioners are on the board. We'll open the motion to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak to the motion on the floor? Seeing no one, we'll go to the phone. Is there anyone on the phone who has called in to speak on this specific item?
Yes, we have one caller ending in 860. You may now speak.
Caller, go ahead and speak. You have 3 minutes to speak on this specific agenda item. Please state your first and last name and your county of residence.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is David Ballard with the Building Industry Association. Just want to thank you all for building with the building community. Courtney's done a great job. in looking at this great proposal. The staff vacancies and succession planning has been a huge issue. So the renewed focus on excellence in those areas is absolutely wonderful, along with the increased access to virtual and easier use virtual programs. So thank you, and please let the BIA know how we can help roll out and educate our members on these new changes. Thank you. Bye now.
All right, and I believe that caller is a Manatee County resident for the record. Do we have any other callers?
Not at this time.
Okay, we're going to close public comment, and we'll hold the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Madam Clerk, it passes unanimously.
All right, Mr. Chair, is it your pleasure to move right into Lee, or you want to take a short recess?
Yeah, let's take a 10-minute recess because we're 20 minutes from it anyway. So we'll come back at 10:21. We're in recess. Time's up. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to turn things right over to Lee Washington, the Director of Community and Veteran Services. Mr. Washington.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Lee Washington, the Director of Community and Veteran Services. I also have a hype video. I'm going to share that with you right now. Don't all get up and dance at once, though.
Being the helping hands of Manatee County is a big responsibility. A responsibility that requires compassion through understanding. And with that understanding comes an opportunity for Manatee County Community and Veteran Services to improve the lives of the young at heart, and everyone in between. This impact starts where helping hands are typically needed, at childhood. The Human Services Division not only works to transform young lives into well-educated, economically secure, productive, and healthy adults, but also enables seniors to remain in their homes, and more importantly, remain engaged and active in their community. Extending a hand to those who have sacrificed so much is where the Veteran Services Division reaches out to offer guidance, while offering transitional housing solutions to those who need it. From our Library Systems Division that offers expanded, lifelong enrichment opportunities, to empowering citizens through engagement in the Neighborhood Connections, Community Development, and Probation Divisions, Manatee County Community and Veteran Services is poised to handle this most important responsibility: to be the helping hands that guide us all to a more engaging, understanding, and compassionate future.
All right, all right. All right, get this going. All right, again, good morning, Commissioners. I'm happy to report that the reorganization that we brought to you at the beginning of March this year has taken place. I'd like to now go through many updates of the department, its core programs, and 1 to 2 items that are currently being worked on. As I mentioned to you back in March, our mission in Community and Veteran Services will always remain to connect our community to valuable resources and to keep the promises made to military veterans and their families. First off, our community development team, which is led by Ms. Denise Thomas, which many of you know. She is also joining us in the back of the room. And as their name states, they are responsible for affordable housing projects and ideas the county is committed to tackling with direct partnership with local developers and community agencies, in addition to rental assistance and rapid rehousing programs. Also, a couple of weeks ago when we had this special meeting, you brought to us the importance of community land trust and land banking, also affordable housing coordination. We have established an internal group with development services, community and veteran services, and property acquisitions to begin a meeting bi-weekly to ensure that we move in concert on developing a smoother path to home affordability. And that's what Courtney had spoke to you about earlier. She and I talked about that last week, and we found it to be extremely important that we all have to be on the same page if we're trying to make a better impact when it comes to affordable housing. Our pretrial and probation services department, most commonly known as county probation, is led by Ms. Jennifer Bird. They monitor those of court-ordered supervised release and probation. And as you can see from the slide, the division's pretrial release program saved the county over $100 per day, which last fiscal year was approximately $350,000. Along with the fees paid by those participating in the offender work program and the money saved by the services provided by the program participants that were not contracted out, last fiscal year, this division saved or made the county approximately $650,000. And we cannot forget to mention that that probation team received their state accreditation back in 2015, at the time to be the 6th Florida county to receive such distinction and still hold that accreditation today. Our criminal justice outreach team is headed by Dr. Renice Remy, coordinating, in addition to what you see in the slide deck, our Public Safety Coordination Council, develop and manage JAG grants, providing crisis-oriented services, and creating and managing human services agreements and working with local agencies. An example of a JAG recipient is our contract with Centerstone for substance abuse counselors for drug court. Crisis-oriented services, examples are Hope Family Services and Our Daily Bread. Adult contracts, such as Legal Aid of Minnesota and the Women's Resource Center. The Salvation Army contracts, the newly created hotbed program that we spoke about 2 weeks ago and was voted on by this board last fall. Under the particular terms of the agreement, 80 homeless clients are anticipated to be served, with 60 of those clients moving to housing or being transferred to a supportive program within 11 months. Our human services team is made up of children's services, aging services, and adult services. And first, I'd like to speak about children's services. Children's services is led by Christy Hagan. That division maintains the Manatee County Children's Services Ordinance, supporting the CSAB, or the Children's Services Advisory Board, providing contract management for nonprofit agencies that receive children's service investments for those 6 categories you see listed there. A few agencies that receive funding are Safe Children's Coalition, Boys and Girls Clubs, Healthy Teams, SMART, and Just for Girls. The CSAB is currently completing its upcoming funding year's application reviews as we speak. A couple of the initiatives of the Children's Services, which many of you are aware of, the local licensing authority for Manatee County. We have held a couple meetings with some of the community partners, and we have an additional meeting next Monday, I believe it is, to continue that conversation to bring that to Manatee County with your approval. Our adult services team is managed and led by, excuse me, Dr. Renee Remy and Elaine Mayholtz, and I believe Elaine is also joining us in the back of the room. They support nonprofit agencies that receive adult services investments and provides contract management for adult services invested in nonprofit agencies with services related to those items that you see listed in bullet points. A couple transitional and rehab grant recipients, services that assist individuals or families to remove barriers to obtaining and maintaining economic or personal self-sufficiency, are Gulf Coast Legal Services and Salvation Army's Adult Shelter Program. Long-term rehabilitation services, or those services that assist individuals or families in gaining or maintaining an independent or semi-independent lifestyle. Examples would be the Myakka Community Center's Super Seniors and Special People Program and Easter Seals Adult Day Training. Our aging services team is led by Tracy Adams, which, if you remember, was our previous month Employee of the Month. And the bulk of these programs are beneficiaries of state grant funds for in-home services for county residents aged 60 and over, to provide services allowing them to age in place under the Community Care for the Elderly, Alzheimer's Disease Initiative, and Home Care for the Elderly programs. The state and federal grant funds for the Emergency Home Energy Assistance Program, or EHEAP, is set aside to assist households with someone aged 60 and over with their electric bills. The current state-funded programs for the Community Care for the Elderly and the Alzheimer's Disease Initiative has also led to the creation of what is known the program, Material Aid Program, allowing for household purchases of items listed here in the slide. The Hurricane Ready Kits and the senior tablets for brain game activity for those that do not require Wi-Fi. Moving on, our library services, which has been a hot topic for all of us, and we're very happy to state that the naming of the library was the biggest thing going on the last week or so. That team is headed and managed by Tammy Parrott. As you can see, the programs and classes supporting pre-literacy skills, early literacy, STEM, and the youth of Manatee County, classes for personal enrichment, technological training, and civic engagement, and also providing community spaces for citizens groups. Some of the special initiatives, as you see here, as I mentioned, the Lakewood Ranch Library of Manatee County, and also moving to expanded and standardized hours. We brought to you earlier in the year the board agenda item to bring on more staff to get to a standardized hours for all the libraries, and we hope to have that in place by the end of the summer, making all libraries open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So very happy to announce that. Also, with renovations and expansions of Rocky Bluff and the Central Library in partnership with fundings from the Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation, bringing the study rooms and maker spaces, and expanding the historical Eaton Room at the downtown library. Our Neighborhood Connections team, led by Debbie De Leon, who is also joining us in the back of the room, holds neighborhood meetings to help answer county-related questions and direct neighborhoods to various resources. The division collaborates with various county departments to help build engagement with the community and help connect them with information. They also review and recommend to the Board of County Commissioners applicants of the Neighborhood Enhancement Grant Program, of which you have approved this fiscal year alone 15. Debbie is also working with her team to bring back the previous Citizens Academy, which we'll be calling the Ambassador Program, and I've placed a flyer on your table in front of you just to give you some background on what we hope this program to look like. I also mentioned that to you in March, and we hope to bring this later in the year to the County Administrator for his review and approval for implementation. All my favorite. Rounding out the lineup, we have Veteran Services. Veteran Services is now led by Ms. Renee Medina. And if you did not know, that team consists of actually 6 counselors. If you count Renee, she does carry a caseload of wartime veterans. By state statute, you must be a wartime veteran in order to counsel and advocate for veterans in this realm of veteran services. We assist those veterans related to service-related disability compensation, low income and long-term care, which allows them to age in place in their home with in-home care services or assisted living payments. Along with VA burial, we're very fortunate to have the Sarasota National Cemetery down in Sarasota that was opened in 2009. It's been given a 50-year lifespan, so it's easy to say that we'll get a lot of use out of it. Local VA healthcare. The VA did move its local clinic from Ellington back in 2010 to the Bradenton location, which is on Morgan Johnson and State Road 64. They've been expanding ever since. The VA healthcare services here are a women's clinic, an eye clinic. You have dental that's there, pharmacy, general appointments, and of course, mental health and other life skill trainings for our veterans. Home loans, life insurance, and housing solutions using partnerships with our community partners, and also community events and other resources. Some of the initiatives, obviously the Veterans Transitional Housing Program that was brought to you earlier this year, late last year, across the street. Our Women's Veterans Campaign, which will be this June, and we'll be highlighting our women veterans in the homeless sphere. And we'll also be doing a special feature on one of those women veterans who was also homeless herself. She wants to share her story and how she was able to come out of homelessness, and now she is advocating for homeless veterans herself. Right now, that team is being recertified by the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs, so we do not have Renee with us in the back of the room. But one of the things that I always wanted to share with folks when they speak to us about being veterans, and I think Commissioner Bellamy would agree, we often hear say, thank you for your service. I will say to you, if you truly want to thank a veteran for their service, let's be the American worthwhile to fight for. It's so important that we forget on a daily basis, I would say, especially after 9/11, we don't see the flags flown as often as we should. We don't see folks stand or respect the flag as we believe they should. But we have fought for those rights. Whether we agree with what a person does or not, we as veterans have taken up the charge to say we will fight for your right to hold up the Constitution. So always remember that. If you want to thank a veteran, let's be the American that you truly believe that we should be fighting for. So, Commissioners, as we progress through the transition of bringing on a new division, reorganizing others, we've come to truly realize that we put a face to the ACE philosophy. Our areas of responsibility puts us in direct daily contact with our residents, and that engagement is built even stronger through our collaboration, not only with each other, but our other county departments and our community partners. In Community and Veteran Services, we will always believe there is never a wrong door to receive the services and assistance that our residents deserve. Should any of your residents ever need assistance, we ask that they reach out to us directly at 941-749-3030. Commissioners, that ends my presentation, and I'll answer any questions or take any comments that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Servia and then Commissioner Whitmore.
Excellent job, Lee. Thank you. Thank you for saying, be the American worth fighting for, if you want to think of it. Very well said. I hope that your words ring in everyone's ears all day. I have a question about some of the diversion programs that we have. I know Sarasota has I believe they have a homeless diversion program. Do we have something that captures problems in the homeless population to divert them through, or rather than taking them through the court system?
Can you restate, make sure I understood what you're asking?
A diversion program to the normal court system for homeless people. Do we have anything that helps divert them from the normal court process through a process that provides them assistance?
Yeah, well, we have the newly formed Comprehensive Treatment Court to help those with any mental health, to try to pull them out of the main track of the court system. But also back in 2015 for veterans, we began the veterans track. So those veterans that are engaged with law enforcement and find themselves in the court system, it is a part of the drug court program, that they're also pulled out of the mainstream because, believe it or not, there's those certain individuals that I just mentioned, they have special needs. And we need to pay attention to those things, and they may need some additional assistance trying to work through all of their problems that they may have related to homelessness, mental health, substance abuse, what have you. And that's why I stress a lot when I speak to people, and I always bring up veterans. Veterans have a catchment net, if you will, of services not generally offered to the average individual. So being able to partner with the VA, the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs, some of our other community partners that have been giving large amounts of federal dollars to do that. I was very happy to be a part of that 2015 team that was able to bring the veterans track to Manatee County. But those are some of the things, Commissioner, that we do have as a diversion.
Thank you. And during the last presentation, I asked, how will our affordable housing coordinators be a part of that central team, so as to streamline any development proposals that come through for affordable housing? Can you explain how that's going to work?
Yes, I'll actually defer to the county administrator.
Okay.
Yeah, as you heard, Lee and Courtney have begun having those conversations about alignment. In addition to that, in some of those areas, we have been looking at the way Sarasota is structured with some of their positions, like the positions that you approved in the last meeting. And so that's the next step. Now that these two departments have gone through their sort of restructuring and have those leaders in place in those different areas, now we're doing a much deeper dive, especially in the affordable housing area, as well as the homelessness, and what other resources have to come in, and as we mentioned, where it should be centralized.
Okay, and regarding the program that you implement to help our elderly citizens stay in their home, I've had family members who have been the recipients of that program, and it took them a while you get on a list, and then you move up the list, and eventually you do receive those services, which are extremely valuable. My experience is that there is much more need than there is service available. So do you see any additional partnerships in the future that will allow us to expand on that? And with that program, I think about dental services for our elderly population. Again, we've had this great partnership with LECOM. Thank goodness for them. But that's one of the things that I hear about from our elderly population, from our homeless population, and even from the children to a lesser extent, because they do have some medical coverage for it. But there's such a lack of dental services and a need for doing things differently. Are you aware of any additional expansion of those partnerships?
I'm not aware of any additional expansion, but I'll ask Debbie De Leon to come up to the mic to speak on a particular program that she is aware of. But to speak about the problems that we're having related to the service, the wait list, and all those different types, things like that, a lot of it comes to finding more providers. And right now, Tracy Adams has been in conversation with the procurement department because the state is allowing them to expand what they can do with the current allocation of funds they have. But truly, it just comes down to bringing on more providers who are willing to work within that grant matrix and the guidelines. And you're well aware, COVID has taught us a lot of things and has opened our eyes to a lot of different things, to bring on new staff and to ask them to do things the average person wouldn't necessarily take on, because we're talking about our elderly. And a lot of them do have some medical conditions that it's very hard to find a CNA or any type of nursing professional to go in the home on a regular basis. You know, they can find other work elsewhere that pays them more, different work environment. So we'll lose a provider here and there. So again, the wait list gets a little longer. We get people off the wait list and something else happens. We've had a couple scenarios where families have asked that they only have English-speaking providers come in the home. So that also has caused some problems. So Debbie, if you could speak to the One Dental program that you're very familiar about.
Can you hear? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Debbie De Leon, staff. In regards to the dental, if you are over 65 and you have Medicare or Medicaid, there is a service or insurance that you can take, and if you don't have a lot of money, usually it's free. So I suggest that they contact a navigator to see whether they are eligible for any of the dental coverage. There is a nonprofit, my husband runs it. It's called Genesis Dental Clinic, and the service is a lot cheaper. And I will say, dental is an expensive field to be in, but he tries to keep the cost as low as possible. He works in conjunction with Turning Points, who you fund, because they are not able to do complete comprehensive, and he is able to do that at the lowest cost that it is possible. But dental is a very expensive operation to run. I can tell you that from experience. Okay.
Thank you, Debbie. And Debbie used the term staff. I believe we're a team. I'm not one of those that get stuck on titles too much, but it's a true team. As you can see in the back, the ladies that support me, it reminds me of my family. I'm one of 9, and I have 6 sisters. So it's like being at home when I come to work. Those ladies in the back, along with the other supportive team that we have that are doing the work that you directed them to do, they keep me on task, they keep me honest, and I truly appreciate what they do for me.
Anything else, Commissioner? Okay. Commissioner Whitmore.
Just a few things. First of all, LECOM, I'd heard from Turning Points that they stopped their pharmacy program, and probably some of the other students also, because they don't have staff to oversee the students, the residents. And I found that out because Turning Points didn't know why they wouldn't come anymore.
For the
So-
externships. Yeah, for the externships, yeah.
Yeah, and also all homeless. I know we have some kind of diversion for veterans, but all homeless, I don't think there is a diversion program. I think they go to jail to start the process, and that's Deputy Jewett. You know, they have to go to jail to get them in intake to start the program. Am I right? Or maybe somebody out there knows?
To some degree, you're right,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
so we don't
And-
have a diversion now. That's what we're all here about. That's what we're.
And that's
our priority.
what we talked about a couple weeks ago as well.
Yeah.
Just trying to work together to identify the services that are out there so that we don't have those numbers of engagement. Law enforcement does a great job, but I think with the other providers in the community, we can make a larger impact if we just get on the same page.
Yeah, they're more or less taking them in to start a case management, which nobody has, and we've just approved that, but we're in the infancy of that. Emergency housing, I know in 10 days, which should be another 3 more days, we'll be able to know what we can do with the CBDG funds. I would like to, if there's any way possible that I could request, if the board wants it also, a report maybe every couple months on the hotbeds. What's our census? What's the average length of stay, and where we are in our budget that we approved? Because I just want to make sure we're having good outcomes, and if you all know what happened to the client, that's even better. I did see Debbie DeLeon in the bathroom, and I think you have a department of 5, something like that. So, and you're down to 1. You're only down to 2 now. So, and that's a really important department. I mean, there's 3. We have 3 vacancies, I assume.
You mean the Neighborhood Connections Division?
Yeah, I guess whatever Debbie works. Yeah.
Yes.
I just still call it community services. So anyway, so we're still short, and this is really hard because of all that you're doing, the adult, the children, everything. This is a very important department, and so hopefully we'll get some employees to come back and start working. A couple people up there aren't here with us anymore in that picture.
Well, I will answer that if it's okay, Mr. Administrator, is that what we're doing in Community and Veteran Services is fluid. We have a lot of work to be done. As you've noticed, with the difference in departments also comes a difference in leadership. And we have sat down as a leadership team, and we want to do an assessment of what we truly have, what we truly need, and what we don't need. And we want to streamline the many processes that we have within the department. We just don't want to fill positions because they're vacant. We want to realign each division to ensure that we're using the citizens' dollars wisely, and we're making the largest impact as we possibly can. But it may take us a little while to get there, but I will assure you it's on purpose. We want to make sure that we're not stepping over ourselves and repeating processes. We want to put the right people in the right positions so that we can move the needle forward, if I can steal that from Commissioner Bellamy, when it comes to Community and Veteran Services.
I just want to make sure we aren't affecting the services provided, because this is an important department. So if Scott, you keep me up to date, or the others, I appreciate
We are very focused on this
Yeah.
department.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bellamy, you're next on the board, sir.
Yep. True working, moving forward, when you have a Marine and an Army vet getting on the same page to make an impact. Thanks for.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something, on the slide. I didn't want to beat you up, so we'll leave it alone.
And I know not to go down that road with you.
Okay.
Thanks for everything you do. I have a yes, you probably will win. Yeah, I'll best by now. I have a question. How does the community services and the veterans department connect with the hot teams, or does it connect with the hot teams? Because a while back we started something like the homeless outreach teams, which I thought was a diversion for the homeless. Well, how do the two, or do they connect, or is it something just dissolved and gone away and we're going a different route, or?
I wouldn't say it dissolved. As I mentioned towards the end of my presentation, there's no wrong door when it comes to community and veteran services. And we have a strong relationship with the folks over at Public Safety, Jimmy Crutchfield, as well as Deputy Jewett. It's not the best model, but it's the model that we have until we bring on the homeless outreach coordinator and some other folks that we mentioned earlier in some other presentations. I receive emails on a daily basis from our community partners, whether it be Turning Point, Salvation Army, Centerstone, to include Jewish Family and Children's Services, which is housed down in Sarasota. They do have a component here in Manatee County as well. So coming from the veteran side before, we were already heavily involved with that piece. So right now, again, it's not the model that we prefer, but it's the model that we have. So it does work, and I think more is truly to come once we bring on these other staff members.
So when a statement was made that we don't have any diversion programs, I want to make sure, because I don't believe that to be a valid statement, and I may be misunderstood. But when we say we don't have any diversion programs, I know we currently fund like Centerstone and the things that they do, which kind of falls up under our umbrella as well because they have dollars. But can you just speak on that a little bit more as far as the diversion programs, whether we do or we do not? Because I have a misunderstanding based on that statement.
Well, I think we have them. It's just
Correct,
not
so
the
do
ones
I.
that we prefer.
Okay.
Because as Commissioner Whitmore said, we have Deputy Jewett with the HOT that goes out and engages our homeless population and things like that. And we have other community partners that are after the fact, once they are arrested and go to court and things like that. But it's not the model, again, that we prefer. And we're working on trying to just come up with different ideas, taking ideas from our surrounding counties, and using the direction from the county administrator, as he mentioned before. As we bring on this homeless outreach coordinator, I think we're going to make a larger dent in that, what you're talking about as far as diversion, Commissioner.
Yeah, I think, Commissioner, one of the benefits of Director Washington being in the position he's in is because he's familiar with that comprehensive array of services that are available to veterans. He has experience with a model that works. Now what we're doing, and you took the first step in authorizing those positions, is we have all these community service providers, and we need to get them coordinated, and they need to be collaborative. And remember, we're coming off of COVID. So like our daycare programs for the elderly were shut down, and that's a key to keeping the elderly in their homes, is to have a place for them to go for daycare, to give their family members a respite and things like that. As we put these pieces into place, we are consciously and aggressively approaching these community challenges from a holistic approach, and Lee's the right person, he's the right leadership for it, and we're moving into the right time to affect these changes now that we have the service providers that are coming back with some of these programs post-COVID.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baugh.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question and then a statement. You had mentioned earlier that you do go out and you have town hall meetings and so forth, just to let residents kind of know what's going on and so forth. And, I don't know, maybe our commissioners emailed about when the meetings will be taking place in their districts and so forth, so that we can work. The reason I'm asking is so we can all work together.
That also is being tweaked a little bit, Commissioner. We're adding them to the web calendar. We're ensuring that we're sending the emails out to your aides, because obviously these are your districts and you want to be engaged with your citizens just as well as we are. But if there is anything that you are seeing that is not being done,
No,
I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm just saying if there does come a time that we miss something, just make myself aware of it. But we truly want to work in partnership with our community, but you're part of the community too, so we have to keep you abreast of what's going on. And we try to use the web calendar, and we also try to send those emails out to all the aides. And of course, we also have the Neighborhood Connection newsletter as well, to share some information with you all as well.
And the reason I say that is because obviously, to make sure that we're all on the same page, when we're out in our districts and we're talking to our constituents, we need to make sure that we're all on the same page. That's why I asked that question. Not that it hasn't. I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, no, you didn't say that.
And the other thing with the discussion that we're having, and I think Dr. Hope's covered it pretty well, I think that, we've put a lot on the table here recently, this board has, and it's going to take a little time to make sure that it's implemented, in the right way where it will be most effective and not create any more bureaucracy than what we, it's the whole gamut. So I just wanted to say thank you that when you mentioned that you hadn't hired some of the vacancies that you have, because you want to make sure of how you're moving. And I just wanted to say thank you for that, because that is the way it should be. That is a sign of a good leader, good leadership. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. I thought that was a very, very good comment on your part.
Thank you, Commissioner. I mean, I'll just say this, that, I stepping in this role, it didn't come at the best of times, but I will tell you, the team that I work with, we're doing the thing. And the county administrator gave you his 3 R's. I will give you my 3 L's. You listen, you learn, you lead. Just as simple as that. So I surely am not going to stand up here and tell you I have all the answers or the best ideas. But the people that I work with, they do, or they at least know where we can find it.
And, that says a lot. There's so much truth to saying we're a team. We work together. They don't really work for me. We work together. And that is another sign of good leadership. So You're on it. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate it, and all of your team. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I would just add in there that similar to development services, your department, as a result of sort of the economic environment that we find ourselves in this county, your department is significantly stressed as a result of current conditions. So anyway, on behalf of the 80,000 people of District 3, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your team as well. You all are a tremendous asset to our county. Do you have a motion that you would like us to entertain today?
Not this morning, Mr. Chair.
Not at this time. Okay. Are there any other commissioners then on the board who would like to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up to public comment anyway, just to see if there's anyone here from the public who would like to speak about the changes we've heard from Development Services. All right, seeing none, we'll go to the phone. Has anyone called in that would like to speak on Development Services?
We have no callers.
No callers. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Washington. I appreciate it. Dr. Hopes, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, sir, that concludes our meeting.
Okay, thank you. 10:57, we are adjourned.
1 o'clock or 1:30?